Promise me you won't roll your eyes when you hear this, but I know you've heard a lot of lies, or you're probably thinking a lot of things about remote work that aren't true, and I'm here to debunk it for you. Here are the 5 most common myths that people have about remote work, which are absolutely not true, and I'm going to explain to you why. Now, if you have talked about this in the past, or if you've heard it maybe on online forums or from people you've had conversations with, I am here to tell you that these are not myths, and these are meant to be debunked. So, with no further ado, let's go. The first myth that people have about working online remote work is that it's only for certain skills. Let me tell you something. I have been in this industry for the past at least like 15 years now, and baby, I'm still very young, okay? Don't try to calculate my age. And I have got the privilege to coach people on how to find remote work opportunities. And I have coached people who are in fields like customer service, virtual assistants, sales and marketing, HR, operations, digital marketing, what else? Engineering, in music. I have helped musicians find remote work, teachers, so many skills categories that, and every single time somebody comes to me, they're always like, can I really find a job online though? Is it really going to work with my skills? I have a degree in this, I have an experience in XYZ, and I'm like, yes, you can. It's always a matter of thinking about what you are doing now, and either finding the same job online or finding a job in which you can actually transfer those skills to working online. And one thing that I know for sure, one thing for certain, 2 things for sure, I'm the queen of pivot. And every single time I go to somebody, I always teach them when need be to pivot. Alright, because the truth is that a lot of the things that you have done in your career, even a lot of the things that you've learned at school, be it college, university, or even higher education, right? Those things can be transferred in another field. I can think of so many examples, in different skills categories. And if you would like me to give you examples, drop your skills category, whether it's what you've learned at school, whether it's what you are currently doing at your 9 to 5, and I'm going to show you how you can transfer it to remote work and what kind of jobs you can actually go for in your skills category. So remote work is not just for certain skills. It is true that also you need to have a certain level of understanding of how the online environment works, but this is something that you learn as you go through the process and as you actually get to dive deeper into it. But I'm always amazed to see how people come from like, oh, I didn't know I could do this, and then you can actually do it. And another thing that I also love about it is the fact that sometimes even you might be thinking that, when it comes to working remotely, I want to work in this specific skills category. But when you realize the potential, when you realize what employers are looking for, when you realize that you can actually learn the things that you have been passionate about for such a long time, but you never really got the opportunity to dive into because you were always working your 9 to 5, or because you always felt like you couldn't find a job in that is where you really like, yes, I think I really want to do this for a longer period of time. I remember one of those clients that I coached who was looking for an online job. Sorry, tongue twister. I tend to speak faster when I get a little bit more passionate. So this client, she was working as a secretary, at an office. And when she started working online, she started to get administrative jobs that were in alignment with what she used to do. But then she told me that she has always wanted to learn more about marketing, and this is something that has fascinated her for a long time. And she started to take marketing courses, and then now she works in digital marketing, and she's making 2 or 3 times more than she was doing in her in-person job, where she worked in the Caribbean. And that's just to show you that not only is remote working not just for specific skills categories, but there's also a learning and expansion potential that you will get to experience when you decide to dive deeper into it. So that is the first myth. Now let me look at the others because I read them on my phone. And the second myth that I hear a lot, or that a lot of people think about remote work, is that you cannot actually build a real career, right? And I think this is really important to debunk, especially in the society in which we live right now, where nothing is certain when it comes to jobs, employment, nothing is safe. Yet still, because we have been so traditionally used to the field of like the 9 to 5, going to the office, working for an employer that we can see physically and at an office where you can go to every single day gives us a sense of security, that, and I'm not even going to fault anybody who feels that, because it feels safe. Like, you can depend on it, you can rely on it, you can point that this is where my company is, this is where I go to work every day. You feel that sense of security, and in a way it makes you think that, that's a real job, because you get dressed up in the morning, you drink your coffee before you go, you take the bus or you drive, and and you go to work, and then you see your coworkers, and then you guys go and have lunch and so forth. And so I think this entire culture contributed to the feeling of like going to work. You have like a work life, you have a work vibe. Some people even have, work husbands and work wives, but because of that, then when we talk about remote work where everything is done digitally, people tend to feel like it's not real work, and you cannot get a real career because it's online and it's probably temporary, and it's probably just something that you're going to do for a little while until you get something better. But I'm here to tell you that after having coached now over 300 people on how to find remote work opportunities, and I really need to go into my archives to see how many people exactly I have coached, so that I stop saying over 300 people, that I can actually come up with the right number. But I know it's over 300 people. I would say this, I have been amazed to see a lot of people that I coach, go higher and higher in the current companies where they used to work at when they got started. Some of them got additional jobs. Some of them pivoted into new industries. Some of them opened their own businesses because they feel like, listen, I now have the funds. I now have what I need for me to be able to start this. And it's just to remind you again that you can build a real career out of this. Whether you decide to eventually go on your own, become an entrepreneur, or just continue working for a company for 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, you can do that. There are people that I started coaching 5-6 years ago who are still working remotely right now. And I love catching up with them, and they're like, you know what, I'm working with this company now, or I'm working with the same company and I have a new position and so forth. So I wanted to just debunk this myth, because again, here the vibe of the work culture is going to be different, because you're not going to go into a physical office, maybe the office that you would have built at your home, for you to get work done, so that you don't get distracted by what is happening in the house. But you also the culture is different, and you have you can also have like these moments where you collaborate with your team, you collaborate with your teammates, you can have like company parties also virtually. And I have had clients, and even I personally have been flown out by different companies, different clients that I work with, for me to attend company events and actually meet them in person. And I tell you, this is something that is just like so beautiful and so amazing, and it just really makes you feel like, wow, these people that I have been communicating with for so many years now we get to meet in person, and that's pretty amazing. So there is that aspect too, and yeah, that's another myth that people think that it's not real work and you cannot make a real career out of it. But I beg to differ, and I have so many examples to share with you. Another myth that people have about working online is that you cannot do it long term. And it goes hand in hand with what I just talked about, where you can start at a position and then continue to grow, continue to evolve, either within the same company or decide to pivot into another company. One of the things that I have personally loved about working online, and also that a lot of my students, my clients have liked, is the fact that compared to a traditional 9 to 5, and I mean traditional, but by traditional I mean like going in the office, to get work done, and like in a specific career. When it comes to working online, working remotely, you have more freedom to explore other interests. You have more opportunity for career progression within the same company. And if you have different interests, you can actually learn additional skills that can support the work that you do, for you to go into a different level at the company where you are, or for you to decide that you want to start working with a different company because that aligns with your new interests. And there's definitely a huge potential for long-term career progression once you found a niche, once you found what you want to do. And it's very exciting, and it allows you to explore different horizons that you might not have been able to explore at your current 9 to 5. Let's be honest. Another myth that people have is that it's not real work. Again, I remember when I started working online, and even some people still don't believe. I think that when the money starts to talk, people start to see things differently. Even members of my family were like, what are you even really doing? Like, are you really working online? And I had to set some boundaries and be like, okay, between these hours, I am online, I'm working, I am calling clients, or I am having meetings and so forth. And it wasn't until really like I was in a lot of family settings where I had to like set those boundaries, that they actually saw that first of all she is really working, and then secondly, when the money starts to come, they start to understand that okay, yeah, she is really working. And I've had clients who are, after working online or while working online, they were able to furnish entirely their home office. They were able to pay for the additional university degree. Like, we want to have a baby, this is how much it's going to cost us, and things like that, like real adulting stuff. And it's just to show you that it's real. Like, you get real money, you get real jobs, and you get real opportunities to really further your life. And then the fifth myth that people have about working online is that you are always working. Yes, there is that conception about just like being online, that people think you will always be on and so forth. But baby, when you work remotely, you set hours. Now, depending on the type of companies that you work with, some companies have like regular 9 to 5 hours, but you can do it from anywhere in the world. Some have a shift system, and it really depends on who you work with. But the same, I can't even say the same discipline that you have for a 9 to 5, you need to have a remote job, because for a remote job, you actually need more discipline, because you're going to be at home, at the comfort of your home, and you kind of don't want to do anything when you're at home, but you learn to develop that discipline and be able to do the things that you need to do, right? And so you are not always working. It's not because you're at home and the computer is there that you need to turn it on at 8 p.m. when you're supposed to be having dinner with your family, you know what I mean? So it's a little bit different, and you do have to set up those boundaries yourself, but it's something that is totally possible. So which one of these myths do you used to believe when it comes to working online? And let me know what questions you have about remote working. And I want to let you know that if this is something that you have been thinking about, and you are ready to dabble into, then I have a remote work fast track accelerator that is launching in November, and it's going to be 6 intensive weeks of really taking action towards helping you to land a remote job. We're talking about daily work, daily progress, daily review, daily feedback from me, and it's your opportunity to work with me one-on-one. Well, of course, within the group setting, but like to get daily feedback from me and really be able to advance your remote work career. So I'm looking forward to guiding you. I will put the link to the accelerator in the description box of this video. And if you have any questions, let me know, and see you tomorrow for the next video.